Okay, this is a weird episode because I'm on my own. But yeah, it feels like one that I should probably do on my own, to be honest. Um, the first two podcasts we released, one was mainly to see angles and sound and just kind of check how everything's been working, and the other one was kind of getting into the groove of how to record these kind of things with AJ. um, Although there was some profundity to the podcast. We spoke about we touched on what actually enlightenment is, and how yeah frogs can't become enlightened. um yeah, okay, so basically, I'm Steve. I'm 39. I'm not 40. And for the past 27 years, I've been really good at being an alcoholic. I've been a great alcoholic. I spent most of my adult life and also some of my childhood years just drinking all day, every day, being the life and soul of the party. Also, I thought. Been in many very interesting situations all over the world. Some fun, some not so fun. I've had some amazing jobs. I've had some not so amazing jobs, and basically, it's brought me to where I am today, which is the owner of a incredible co-living up in the mountains of Nájera in Valencia. We started in July. It's a really nice big villa tucked away, in the heart of the Sierra Calderona. About half an hour from Valencia city centre. Super incredible. It's got views over the Mediterranean Ocean and Valencia in the distance. The sunrises and sunsets are just next level. And it's just an incredible place. Basically, I started this project after I'd become sober. I've been sober 2 years now. And now I'm really in the sobriety. Like at the beginning, it was new, it was exciting, and like it was quite easy to be sober in the beginning because it's new and exciting. I used to get a lot of pleasure out of telling people, "Yeah, I'm sober. I was an alcoholic," which really helped me in the early days of sobriety. And then life kind of took a change. I kind of wanted to change my situation, where I was, how I was, who I was. Um, I was living before about an hour and a half from Valencia. I ran a project, which was why I call it a project. It was basically a house in the mountains with space. We used to have volunteers come and stay with us, and again, this was probably at the height of my addiction, and I was kind of enabling myself by thinking, I'm a good person. I'm helping people, which which we were. We were helping people, but it was just an excuse to allow me to continue in my addiction. Um, you'll notice that most people who do drugs or drink tend to be nice people. It's kind of a side effect. There's very few that are violent or aggressive. Um, anyway, I've run that project for many years. We had thousands of people come through the house. But then casually one day, I got in touch with someone. Well, someone got in touch with me that I'd known for many, many years. Um, Not in so much of a professional capacity, but someone who had always been there, kind of in the back of my mind, someone who I knew that I was going to do stuff with in the future. It was interesting. It was someone who's now become a very close friend. Someone who's helped me, and I doubt they even realized the help that they gave me. And then we came up with the idea of basically building this co-living. Again, I've been living with many people for many years. I've always lived with people. I love living with people. I've always been surrounded by people. And yeah, the opportunity came up to move to this incredible villa and run it as a co-living. I'll be honest, it took me about 20 minutes to make the decision that it was time to move. Um, People keep saying, or kept asking, like, aren't you sad? Aren't you nervous? And I just wasn't. I remember leaving the house I was previously in, and I didn't even look back. Like, it was time. It was time to move. Again, I'd been sober already a year, and it was time to move on to something where I could share my sobriety with other people, because this also really helps keep me sober. Talking about being sober really helps keep you sober. So yeah, we moved to Nakada, to the villa, and we just started. We hit the ground running, basically. We built a website super quick. We advertised on some co-living platforms, although I have to say they are just terrible. Most of the people that come and stay with us now come directly through either Instagram or Facebook. It's called Villa Savi. Savi means sun in Sanskrit. Savi in Lithuanian means my people. And it really applies here. Everyone who comes through the door is meant to be here, whether they have a life-changing experience, or whether they're just taking some rest, or whether they're trying to recover from something or build on something. Everyone who comes here leaves with something. It's quite often not what they expect, but it's normally relevant. Savvy, it's a sober space. At the beginning, we didn't market it that way. I was so scared that running a sober co-living, it would just turn so many people off. But actually, the sober element is what's turning people on, it seems. There's no other sober co-living that I'm aware of in Europe, maybe even the world. I know now of one that is starting in Cornwall. They're called Frumies, and this incredible Cornish farm. I know that they're taking the sober route also. And speaking just with some guests, even this morning, I was speaking with one of our guests, and he said that that was genuinely what turned him on. It was a big benefit for him to see that it was a sober place. So all the feedback that I've been getting recently is just like, this was definitely the right decision to make. And again, I love sharing the fact that being sober is now super cool. It's weird these days to come across sober people. Like, the sober people tend to be the odd ones out, which is completely backwards. It should be weirder if you're a drinker. Like, I don't understand how drinking is legal. It's genuinely poisonous. Nobody becomes a better person through drinking. I don't know anybody who becomes a better person through drinking. It's just not possible. I really believe that had Jesus not been drinking, then drinking would be illegal. It's just that it's been known and validated for so long. We're talking thousands and thousands of years that it's now just acceptable. You know, it's no different to it's a mind altering drug. It's no different to doing cocaine or heroin. It causes even worse effects. Anyway, I don't want to go on a rant about the legalities of drinking, but it just shouldn't be allowed. It's uh, it's it's a terrible drug. It causes so many problems in the world. The fact that our world leaders are able to go and sit at lunch and drink wine and then make decisions that affect the rest of us is it just boggles my mind. Like it's just incredible. Anyway, this is kind of a tangent I wasn't planning on getting into, but if anyone is trying to get sober, I highly recommend it. The best things in my life have happened since I got sober 2 years ago. Like the most incredible things, I can't even explain it. Like for one, I'm running this co-living and meeting the most incredible people. Um, Again, I've always lived with people, and I didn't want to stop that. So I don't know what else I can say. Actually, this is yeah. Basically, co-living is great. You get to meet the most incredible people. People who want to live in co-livings are normally they normally have something in common. People who want to live with other people are already tend to be nice people. Like you're already winning. Let me get a dog. Viki, venga, vale. Okay, I had to get a dog as an emotional support because this is que mi chico más guapo, ¿ah? Que muy chico. ¿Qué piensas? Hmm? Yeah, living in co-living is it's a great way to live. It's quite fluid, so people are always moving in and out. Normally, they stay for at least a month. The maximum is 3. It's just things tend to balance better when you stay longer than a month and less than 3 months. People living in the co-living, they're quite often entrepreneurs. Um, we have a lot of people who are in startups. Some people who come in burnouts. Some people just need a rest. Some people, it's their way of life. A lot of people who live here are digital nomads. Like they're working full-time jobs. It's we're geared up with fast Wi-Fi all over the site. People run their companies from the villa. It's an incredible thing to see. Some people came here. Some people got fired from their jobs whilst here, and then that turned into them starting a super successful company of their own. So yeah, basically, the reason I built Savvy is to share my sobriety and to give a safe space for people who need a break, for people who are trying to work something out, people who are working on themselves, people who want to develop, grow, move forwards, change. I know that I was afforded that space in my sobriety, and yeah, I just want to give something back to people in the way that they have given it to me. A day at Savvy. This is an interesting one. My job role, you can't even call it a job. Running something like this is a way of life. You really need to know a little bit about everything, especially group dynamics. You really need to know kind of how to be with people, how to talk with people, how to yeah, so running savvy, you kind of need to know a little bit about everything from, if you're running a co-living like this, it's not a small thing. You know, this villa's like 1,500 square meters of inside space. You need to be a plumber, you need to be an electrician, you need to be an IT technician, you need to be a psychologist, you need to be a doctor, you need to be able to do a little bit about everything. You need to know a little bit of everything. You need to know a lot about group dynamics. It's incredible how you see just one person arrives or one person leaves and the whole house changes. It's literally that, the it's that volatile. Group dynamics is such an interesting thing to watch. Um, Again, in the last episode, we touched on the Big Brother TV show that happened in the 90s, noughties in the UK, and it's kind of like that, you know. People are funny. People need a little bit of drama. People cause a little bit of drama, but basically everyone's just trying to work their way through this world, you know, through this lifetime that they have. We're just trying to move forward. And yeah, it's really curious. It's really curious. You never know who's going to arrive. You know, we do have kind of a little bit of a screening process before we like accept people to come to the co-living, but you never really know. And this has its benefits and its drawbacks. It's I mean, people who come to co-livings are generally really, really nice people. Well, especially this is what we've experienced. But there are situations that you just can never predict. Um, you can just you just can't predict what might happen at any given moment. This morning, for instance, um, this morning I've been fixing a skirting board. I've been sorting out a water pump issue. I've been talking to a guest about how funny it is that we both know the same person who was here 3 months ago. They met in Portugal. She stayed here for a month, 6 weeks, and we just happen to know the same person. This happens a lot. This is really funny. Um, Now I'm making a podcast. This afternoon, I'll cook dinner. Like every day is, you just never know what's going to happen. There's so many things that need to be taken care of, and so many things that are outside of your control. And you just can't prepare for everything. Like you never know what's going to happen in these spaces. It's not like a normal business. It's not a hotel, you know, where you have a maintenance team, a cleaning team. Like it's a little bit of everything. We're all it's it's not comparable to anything else. It's an incredible environment. You get to learn so much. The opportunity to learn things is incredible. This is basically a learning environment. Everybody is learning all the time. You might not be here for that, but it's what happens. It's just it's a result of living with people. You might not even realize it at the time what you are learning, but you are definitely learning the things that you do like and the things that you don't like. Um, yeah, it's just interesting. It's interesting. So basically, the the idea behind starting this podcast is to kind of document the ups and the downs, the ebbs and the flows of how this place works. As you can see, it's just nonstop. Like, every day is different. No 2 days are the same. And people's requirements are always different as well. You need to be super adaptable, improvise, adapt, and overcome. I will never forget. I was told this once by a man, and it really stuck with me. I think it has something to do with the army. Um, yeah, if you're planning on starting a co-living or you're running a co-living, I'm sure you know, like every day is different. You can't plan them. You know, you can plan a little bit, but for sure it won't go the way that you expect. So it's best not to have expectations and just roll with the day. one of the difficult things of living in a co-living or running a co-living, especially for me, is the boundaries, you know, because you're living with clients. I say clients loosely, you know, because these people are more than this. You know, these people are guests. It's like these people are guests in my home, and that's how they should feel. That's how I want the space to come across. I want them to feel like they are at home. Um, that's the whole point. However, there has to be ultimately someone who is keeping the power on, keeping the water running, walking the dogs. Co-living is not living in a hotel. Co-living means we all help each other out. But ultimately, there is someone who has to take the lead and take charge and be responsible for the experience. So the boundaries are really, really difficult. Like, I've made amazing friends, but they're also guests, they're clients. You know, they pay to be here, and this boundary becomes really, really difficult. You know, sometimes there are things that I want to share with a friend of mine, but this friend is also a client. This makes it very difficult because you share something with a friend who's a client, it then mars the boundary. Is this person your friend or is he your client? And this for other clients who maybe aren't your best friends or you don't resonate with in the same way as your friend, it creates a funny situation. This is something that is is on my mind a lot. Like you have to be careful with your boundaries. There are some there's some really really hard parts to running a co-living. Um, Co-living community. I use the word co-living because community in my mind is a different thing. I wrote a long Instagram post about why we are not a community. Um, we are definitely a co-living. But one of the things is yeah, one of the hardest things about running a co-living is is being human. Um, I have so many decisions that I have to make on a daily basis about all kinds of things. And yeah, quite often I have doubts, which which makes things very real. Because if I didn't have doubts, then that wouldn't be a good thing. You know, we should have doubt. Um, of course, I always try to make the right decision. Nobody tries to make the wrong decision, but at the end of the day, I'm the responsible one. Should something happen, the responsibility falls on me, which which I take, um, which I take very seriously. It's not easy. It's not easy running a co-living. Everybody sees the ha 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 he friends and community and eating together and you know even doing the dishes together, going for walks, hiking, yoga, gym. Everything's super nice, super fun, super good times until someone falls over in the kitchen on a wet floor. And then suddenly everyone is looking at you, you know, ultimately the buck stops with me. Um, this is a hard thing, you know, everyone is your friend until something bad has happened. And then you're the one that's being looked at. It's, and this is something that's always at the very top of my mind. It's yes, these people are my friends. Yes, these people are also my clients. But should anything bad happen, they're your client and not your friend. And this is a hard thing to deal with. I find this really difficult because I want to be friends with everybody. It's just the kind of person I am. But the boundaries are really difficult. or at least I find them difficult. If you run a co-living and it's like this, where where it's a super curated environment and you're at the forefront, you are the person, the go-to guy. How do you deal with this? Like, how do you deal with ultimately being the responsible person? Of course, you have insurances and everything, but that doesn't change the fact that people are humans and they need to be treated like humans. They need to be treated with respect, as do you. And sometimes, you know, it's not always rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes things do happen. We all need to be aware of this. It's not always pleasurable. Like, and that's just part of life. We live in a world of duality. There's no up without down. There's no plus without negative. And this is one thing we really need to remember, especially in these kinds of environments, that everyone is your friend until something goes wrong. It can become really lonely. Like, you're surrounded by all these people. Like, how can you be lonely? There's always someone or something to do. Like, it's not always the case. Like, many nights I go to bed and like there's just a million things going through my head, and nobody knows about these things, and nor should they. It's not for them to know about. Nobody needs to know that I need to unblock the shower in room 303 tomorrow. That's just not pertinent to anybody except me. And these things that people don't really understand or don't have, um, they don't know what's going on, and nor should they. They're not here for that experience. They're here to do their stuff, to progress in their life in their way. They're not here to maintain a villa with all these people living in. They're here to live the experience that they are paying for at the end of the day. It's a rental contract. It's an agreement. I am their landlord and they are my client. It's yeah, the boundaries are so tricky. And yeah, you end up with something called decision fatigue. You become so mentally tired of making a million micro decisions every day and micro adjustments in your decisions. Oh, I'll do this at that time. Oh no, this person is moving through the house then. Like, so I'll do that at another time. Or when should I clean this room because I know so and so is going to town tomorrow afternoon, but they might. It's these kind of micro adjustments. They cause a serious amount of fatigue in your decision making, which can, well, it affects them. Yeah. Basically, I think the point that I'm trying to make is, if you're in a co-living or if you're in this kind of curated environment, please remember that your host is a human, and they are normally, in my case, they are always trying to look after your best interests. Like, we want to create the space that allows people to feel comfortable. We're holding this container. The container seems to be the word of the year. We're holding this container, and we want to facilitate the growth. It's especially in my case. This is what I'm trying to achieve. In my sobriety, I want to help other people. I used to help people even as an addict, and even at the height of my addiction, I used to help people, but a that was as a method of validating my own behavior. Oh, it's fine being an alcoholic and drinking all day every day and doing drugs, because you're helping people. You're providing a space where people come and they learn things, and they learn how to live in community, and they learn how to cook or how to clean or how to do yoga or a million different things. People learn to swim, like a million things that you could learn, even with me being the addict that I was. And now I want to offer the next level of that. I don't need to validate my addiction anymore because I'm no longer an addict, or I'm no longer in active addiction. it's now I want to create the space where people can really fly, where people can really come into their own and really feel supported. This is what I'm trying to achieve. Um, it doesn't always go to plan. There are many success stories. There are some not so successful stories. And these not successful stories tend to be lessons that I'm learning. Um, Not everybody is the same. Again, I've said it again. I've said it already, and I'll say it again. People are really, really interesting. Everyone is different. Everybody needs something different, and that's what I try to achieve. I try to give the experience that somebody needs. It's not always positive. It's not always positive, but nothing ever is. I can't decide if I'm still on topic or off topic. Anyway, we built Truths, Chaos, and Cupcakes because there's a lot of truth in this. There's a lot of chaos in this. And these are cupcakes. I haven't even got them out of the boxes yet because technically they're not for me. These are for other people. Um, in the next podcast, I'm sure someone will eat a cupcake. I've been promising it for a long time. So, yeah, my name's Steve. I run Savvy Co-Living up in the mountains of Valencia. And this is my dog, Viki. One of my dogs. I'm going to keep recording this podcast every week, probably with more people. It's really, really nerve wracking and difficult to do a podcast on your own, especially when you're looking at yourself. And who knows who's going to see this. But it's honest, it's truth. It is chaotic, but it is sweet. The rewards are seeing people change. If you're thinking about starting something like this, starting a co-living, then feel free to get in touch or come and stay with us for a little bit. And yeah, you won't regret it. Living with people, it's my favorite thing ever. Like, people often say to me, "Oh, you must have some sort of trauma. You know, if you need to be surrounded by people, it must be a trauma from when you were a child." I don't think it is. I think being able to live with people permanently is a superpower. I love living with people. It's not always easy, but it's something I love doing. And I feel like I always will be surrounded by people. It's it's just something I love doing. Maybe it's because of the need to be validated, or maybe it's my need to validate others. I don't know. But what I really love is seeing people better themselves. This is the best feeling. Seeing somebody climb out of the bottom, seeing someone who's hit rock bottom and shoot up again into the stars. That this is just that there's no better feeling. And I'm really lucky I get to be a part of that. I get to hold this space where people are able to to take a break, to sit, to reassess, to be with themselves, and make real active decisions in how they want to change their life. It's a blessing to everyone who's been here. I'm really, really grateful for you all, and to everyone thinking of coming here, I really encourage it. Firstly, I'm a super nice guy, I promise you, and And yeah, I'll always have your best interests at heart, always. I don't really know what else I can say in this episode. It's kind of, I didn't really plan this episode. It's just kind of gone in a direction very organically. But I wanted to give you kind of like a little bit about me. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of it. I mean, I'll probably cut together a bit the fact that I've always been involved in projects since I've been in Spain, at least. I was helping run an eco hotel up in the mountains um, in Valencia. And then from there, I moved into a large old farmhouse where we ran a very successful volunteer program for many years, as well as we also used to offer yoga retreats and bits and pieces like this. And then Savvy came along, and it's now, yeah, it's now Europe's number one sober co-living environment. So if you're newly sober, or you've been sober a long time, or if you're just sober curious, this is definitely an environment you should check out. It's it's really real, like there's no bullshit. You can't hide behind the fact that you're drunk. People who need, alcohol to loosen up and become the real person, it's just not real. The relationships you build whilst under the influence of alcohol, they're not genuine, they're not real. Tell me I'm wrong. They just aren't. What I can tell you here is, if you come here into this sober environment and you make real connections with real people, like, they're real. There's nothing that can be tarnishing or marring or falsifying your relationships with each other, because you're clean, you're sober. You might like this person, you might not like this person. What you know is, this is a real relationship, and it's not down to being under a mind altering drug, which is, yeah, again, just incredible. I hope this podcast made some sort of sense, because maybe I've just been rambling. Maybe it's exactly what you need to hear right now. I don't know. But anyway, from me, from Viki, this was Truths, Chaos, and Cupcakes, episode 3. Thanks for joining, guys.